Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to a brand new gameplay series. I am the Ultra Farmer, and I've just gotten to town here in Elm Creek, and I decided I wanted to pull over to the side of the road and just kind of give you a rundown of what is going on, why we're in Elm Creek, and just kind of give you a little bit of a backstory for this gameplay series. Recently, my parents and I got a really rough phone call that my uncle has unfortunately passed away. And with much deliberation and kind of talk amongst the family, my aunt has decided that she's just not young enough anymore. She just doesn't have the help to run the farm by herself. And she's kind of asked if I would take over the farm for her. And so I scraped together as much cash as I could. I took a small loan from my parents. Well, small loan. It's a loan. Don't a loan from my parents to help me get going. My dad even gave me this horse trailer that I got behind me to help out around the farm that we're going to go take over. So it's just going to be us there. My aunt is going to go live with my parents. I'm going to hop back in the truck and we're going to head up to the farm. But I wanted to just kind of give you that little bit of a backstory so you can understand what we're getting into and some of the challenges that we're probably going to have ahead. So let's get in the truck here. Like I said, we just got into town and we're going to head up to the farm and I'll kind of explain some more stuff along the way. Okay, so we're just cruising along here now. It's been a while since I've been in Elm Creek, to be honest. It's been a very long time since I've been on Elm Creek, so I might get lost a little bit here, but we'll find our way to the farm. It's not too large of a place here. I haven't been here since I was much younger. But like I said, my uncle has unfortunately passed away, and after talking with my mom and dad quite a bit, they decided that it's probably the best move for me to start farming again, go back out to Elm Creek, take the farm over for my aunt, so that she doesn't have to sell it because we don't really want to sell this land. It's a beautiful farm from what I remember. My uncle had really built it into a beautiful farm, and but just in his later years, as his health started to deteriorate and he didn't have much help around the farm, things just slowly started to break and he didn't have the energy to fix it, and it was getting a lot for him to work the fields and stuff by himself and manage the animals. And so towards the end, him and my aunt did sell off most of their goats. That's what they raised. They sold most of the goats, and I know they have two horses left there. That's basically all that's left on the farm. From what my aunt said, there's just two horses that she was going to sell, but she said if you're gonna go and take care of them, you should keep the horses because they're good horses, and they're pretty valuable. So we got to go and take care of those horses. That'll be the first thing we kind of got to check in on, make sure they got food. She said they did have food. The neighbors had brought over a few hay bales and some oats to throw into the barn for them, so they should be good for a little bit. But again, we'll just have to check on them and make sure that they're all good to go. So we're going to be taking over my uncle's farm. Like I said, he did have some equipment for us. From what my aunt said, there are a couple tractors there, and there's kind of like sporadic, well, maybe not sporadic's the right word, but just kind of scattered pieces of equipment. He has some equipment that we can work hay fields with. She said there is a combine. It's an older Massey Ferguson combine, but there is one sitting there. Um, but the baler that he had in the years, it kind of had broke, and he sold it off for parts. The planter that he had, he stretched for as long as he could, but it eventually broke, and they just couldn't afford to get new stuff. And like I said, his health had deteriorated, so there's a kind of a few things we're gonna have to go buy. But we're just pulling up to the farm here. It's on the right. Good Lord, it's been a while since I've been here, but we're just pulling in here. Oh my. Trip down memory lane. Yep, this is it. This is where all of my farming experience started. Walt here is one of the neighbors who's gonna just kind of come and watch over things while my aunt left, so he's there just kind of hanging out. But this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is my uncle's farm, and let's pull around here. Let's pull around here and maybe park this truck. Let's pull around. I know there's two things here. I know there was the old goat barn here off to the right, and if we pull along the back side of the big barn here, I know this is where they had the horses. Yeah, there are the horses right there. Let's just pull in and let's just park here, and well, let's shut this truck off real quick here. Let's jump out. Yeah, this is the old barn. Looks like he's got a plow and stuff in there. We'll go check that out in a second. I just want to take a look at the animals here and just see if they got some food in here. Oh, let's just go back in here and turn up our heads-up display so we can see. It looks like they got 13,000 liters out of 20,000 liters of food. Two animals in there. Yeah, they haven't been rode in a while. Their fitness is a little bit low. Let's go in and take a look at them. How you doing, buddy? This horse is named Pepper. Please tell me this one's named Salt. Please tell me. Come on, Auntie. This one's named Salt. Yeah, my aunt and uncle. They had a good sense of humor. That's hilarious. Okay, well, Salt and Pepper are here. They look like they're doing okay. All right, guys. Hey, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, Pepper's getting all fired up. We better get out of here before we get stepped on. Okay, well, the horses look like they're in pretty good shape. Not too bad. I mean, they need to be rode, and their fitness is a little bit low, but they got food. They got food. So, what fields do we own here? We own this field right here. Obviously, it doesn't look like there's anything growing on it. No soil data. This is something we're going to have to dig into. We're going to have to figure out our soil types and really get a sense of the pH levels and the nitrogen in these fields. This one's already telling me that it needs lime, so means the acidity in this field has gotten pretty bad. Let's go take a look over here. So yes, this is the horse barn here. It looks like my uncle had a couple silos back here. I think this is one is for fertilizer and one is for lime. And then yes, this is the old goat barn. And it looks as though it is completely empty. Yeah, my aunt did say that they sold off all the goats. They didn't own any land back in here. I think that at one point they farmed some of this land back in here with the neighbors. But again, in those later years, my uncle was just he was just hurting too much, and my aunt and uncle never had any kids. I didn't have any cousins on this side of the family, so I was kind of the only one that was able to come take over this farm. And so if you look up to my money, I have 150 grand. Now I was able to save and kind of sell a bunch of my stuff to save up 100 grand. And my dad and mom gave me a $50,000 loan. I have to pay it back to them. I will pay it back to them as soon as I can. But they wanted to kind of help me get going, and it was kind of part of helping my aunt as well. And I think when my uncle passed, he left some money to my mom and dad, which I think that's why they kind of gave it to me, just to to kind of help out, because they knew it would be going back to the farm. And I'll obviously pay back my parents. Will slowly do that, but that was nice of them to help. And like I said, Dad gave me that old horse trailer that he had, and he said, "Take that. You'll have more use of it than he will." So yes, this is the old goat barn right here, and this kind of like little back creek area, or just kind of creek bed area. It's not like there's not much water flowing in here. Is kind of the property line right now. Looks like Uncle's got a set of windrowers sitting here. They look to be they're an older set, but they seem to be in pretty good shape, which is nice. Again, this is just kind of a little bridge cut through area to the neighbor's farm over there, or neighbor's land rather. Come around here, we got another field. Again, we got no soil data on this. We don't really know what we're working with, but it does look like there are some field stones on here that we are going to have to deal with. But that's okay. That's okay. We definitely, I've been farming with my dad for a lot of years, and that's another kind of the reason why I came up here, is because I definitely know how to do all this stuff. And yeah, like I said, this is just such a beautiful little farm. We didn't want it to leave the family, and it just seemed perfect for me to kind of come and take this over. So it looks like Uncle's got a set of cultivators sitting here. Again, they seem to be in pretty good shape. Pretty good shape. And then, like I said, Auntie said that there was a Massey Ferguson combine, which is obviously right there, and it looks like he's got a set of headers and trailer. Probably looks like what, 5-meter headers? 6-meter working with. Okay, so 6 meters. That's going to be perfect for us, and we got 1, 2, 3 fields here that we can work. Got a little trailer here with our silos. Inside this barn, looks like we got a 3650 John Deere. So we got a nice little small tractor, or smaller tractor, 116 horse. The farmhouse. What do we got back in here? Not much. All my uncle's tools and stuff are just kind of gone. We got a little work area down here for changing oil and tractors and just kind of working on the undercarriage and whatnot. And I know there's storage up here. There was storage. Me and my sister used to play up here and hide and mess around and get yelled at for being unsafe. You know how it is. You know how it is. You always got to break the rules at Auntie and Uncle's. So, all right, let's go into the big barn and see what else we got sitting over here. Looks like he's got a little slip tank out here. Now, Auntie said like stuff like this, like there was a lot of knowing my uncle, yeah, it's full of fuel. And he's gonna I knowing him, he would have a stockpile of everything in here, so looks like bags of fertilizer and seed, little fertilizer spreader, set of teders right there. Like I said, a plow, and it looks like a mower. Yeah, no baler. I didn't see a baler anywhere. I haven't seen a seeder or a planter. And it looks like he's got another, what do we got here? A 4755. Okay, so this is a little bit bigger of a tractor. 190, almost 200 horse. Geez, everything's in good. You know, my uncle did keep things in really good shape, but you can tell from the farm it's just really well kept. And yeah, I loved this place as a kid, so I'm glad that we're back here and that we can start taking care of things. And then, as we go over here, we got this field, which we kind of looked at before. Again, we got no data on this. We got to dig in and figure out the pH levels and stuff like that. Looks like the neighbor there. Maybe he's probably coming over to see what we're doing. But yeah, that's the neighbors there. So I know they owned a bunch of land right here, and they had farmed a bunch of this land at one time. I don't know if they're still doing that. I'm assuming they are, but if I can just go, I'll go up into this mode real quick here. So yeah, the neighbors, this is their main field there, and like I said, I know they would cut through in here and farm a bunch of this land with my uncle. And then the other neighbor up here kind of worked this, and I don't really remember who dealt with these fields. Might have been someone from over here. I can't really remember, to be completely honest, but that's it. That is our farm. Hello, ma'am. How you doing? She's like, don't talk to me. Okay, we're new guys here, so they we got to make friends first. But yes, this is it. This is my uncle's farm, and now it is. Well, now it's our farm, and we've got a pile of work to do. We've got to figure out something to feed the horses, kind of first things first. That's the main thing that I want to do is get set up so that we can feed the horses. It's springtime here, so we've got a growing season coming in front of us, which means we got like a blank canvas, so to speak, and we've got fields here that we definitely need to work. We have some equipment, but we're gonna have to go shopping. We definitely need a planter. Oh, let's go over here real quick here. Oh, we got, yeah, front attach arms. Looks like Uncle had some weights sitting there for the tractors, pallet forks. Looks like a bale spike and front attachers. These would probably go on well, let's look here. I don't know if this 4755 had, it doesn't look like it had front attachment arms. Those must be for the 3650. Let's go take a look at that 3650 real quick and just make sure, in case we got to do we might have to take one of the tractors down to the shop to get, well, he wouldn't have those sitting there if they didn't fit on one of these tractors. Knowing my uncle. Yeah, look, the attachment arms are right there. Okay, so those are, yeah, just like we thought. Those are for the 3650. That's perfect. Nice little set of silos for us here, and I mean, we're not in too bad a shape. We got to plow. We could plow these fields just to get everything kind of fresh start, and yeah, we could do that. So let's first just kind of let's get into some of the details of this gameplay series, just so we can all be on the same page. I got a few rules that I've set for myself that I kind of like to set in. Some are the same for most of the series, but let's first go into the settings and just kind of see what we're playing with here. So our this gameplay series, we're going to be known as Oats and Goats. That's what I've come up with because we got a goat barn and we're gonna have to be growing some oats to feed those horses. And obviously we're going to have to be doing some grass and hay work for the goats. So Oats and Goats Elm Creek gameplay series. I had the traffic off, but I want the traffic on. Our economic difficulty is set to hard. We have our seasonal growth on, and for right now I just got 1 day per month. I might switch it to I probably won't. Usually the only reason I switch this is in case we run into some really bad weather in harvesting season or something like that, where I need a couple extra days in the month to get through some bad weather potentially if we're going to harvest, but I don't think it'll be too bad. So our fixed visuals are off. It's just going to be whatever month it's on. Our snow is on, and I've decided on this gameplay series we're playing with every setting on: crop destruction, periodic plowing, field stones, weeds, disaster destruction. I have turned to disabled. We're not actually going to deal with that this episode or this series. I decided to turn that off, but all these other settings we're going to be on. Dirt is normal. This is just kind of preference stuff I like to use with the tractors. I always have automatic engine start off. I like to turn the tractors on and off myself. Fuel usage I have set to high. And for all the AI workers, they're not allowed to buy anything. And this is just some of the stuff for the realistic livestock contracts and precision farming. So pretty standard stuff, but yeah, we're playing with all the settings on, so we're going to have to deal with everything. We know we're going to have to worry about crop destruction, making sure we're fertilizing at proper times of the year and we're not just running through the field. We're going to have to deal with the field stones, weeds, and kind of all of that stuff. Now, another few rules that I like to set for myself is we do have the potential to take a loan. I have talked to the bank, and since we're kind of taking over this farm, they have pre-approved us for $100,000 loan at the bank. Now, I don't really want to do that. One rule that I want to set is if we do have to take a loan, that means that we are obviously too broke to pay for any AI workers. So anytime we have a loan with the bank, well, I'm going to say with the bank because I'm still going to pay back mom and dad, but with the bank where we're losing interest each month, we cannot hire AI workers if we have a loan with the bank. So I don't really, I don't want to do that. I want to hire some help to give us a hand around here if we need it. But yeah, if we have to take a loan, we will not be able to use AI workers. Now, in the beginning, we're going to have to try and make some money around here. And the way that we can do that is through contracts. I'm going to allow us to do contracts. However, the rule that I set for just about every series that I do now is we can only do contracts if we have the equipment to do it. I even have a mod set up so that we can't borrow any pieces of equipment to do the contracts. We either have it at our farm and we can go do it, or we don't. And I think that's better in some ways because you know, if you are going to go do something for the neighbor and they're going to pay for it, generally speaking, you have the equipment and, you know, that's why they're hiring you to come do it for them because maybe they don't or they have something broken. And usually it's you can go to the store and rent it for pennies on the dollar compared to what the contract is. So I just like it that, you know, we don't have anything that can harvest these red beets, right? We don't have nothing. But if we went through here, there's actually nothing that we could go do in these harvesting ones that I see so far. Potatoes, we couldn't do any of these. Fertilizing, we had a fertilizer spreader in there. We could go do that one. We've got a set of cultivators, so we could go get one of these contracts done. But yeah, that's just kind of a rule I set for myself. Now, another rule that I like to set that just kind of makes it a little more challenging is that I'm not allowed to lease any equipment from the store. I like it that we have to buy everything that we're going to use. Now, the only caveat I'm going to put to that, the only exception I'm going to put to that rule is with stones. Since we're playing with field stones on, I've decided that the only piece of equipment I'm going to allow myself to rent is going to be a stone picker. Potentially we'll get to the point where we can probably just buy one and have it kicking around, but in the beginning I'm going to allow myself just to rent that only piece of equipment just because stones don't really do anything to affect yield. We could leave it down, but that's going to be the only one that I allow myself to rent just because there's only like one in the game that you can use. They don't come through the stores very often on sale, like they're like barely ever. So that's the only one that I might allow us to rent, but everything else we have to buy it if we want it. We can get things on sale, obviously, but yeah, I'm not going to allow myself to lease any equipment. I think is going to be good, and that's basically it for right now. Rules wise, I don't have a specific monetary goal that I want us to hit before this, you know, series ends, or there's nothing really specific that I want us to do other than get this farm back and thriving. I want us to have a good, healthy, is it flock of goats or herd? Yeah, it'd be a herd of sheep, herd of goats. And I want us to raise good horses. We can fit 11 in this barn. Hopefully down the road we can expand and get some more horses in some different pastures and hopefully raise some really valuable horses. You know, one thing that my aunt did say is that these two horses were quite valuable. And even right now, Pepper's sitting here. He's almost worth $11,000. What's Salt worth? Is worth 11,500. And my goal, these are two male horses. So I'd like to get a mare in here and hopefully get them to be breeding some offspring. Because as you can see, the genetics of Salt here is actually pretty good. Very good overall, very good, or very high metabolism. Health is high, fertility and quality very high. And I think Pepper's the same. Yeah, very high, very good. And if we could get a mare in here, hopefully we could start having some good, young, healthy little colts. And kind of, breed horses a bit. And same with the goats. So we want to get some really healthy goats, and we want to start like a good genetic string of goats. We will do something with the goat milk as that progresses, but no major plans with that as we go forward. So that is it right now, ladies and gentlemen. That is kind of the entrance to our Oats and Goats gameplay series. I hope you stick with us on this series. I'm very excited to do it. I am very excited to be back here on Elm Creek. This is truly where everything started for me with farming, and I'm very excited to build this farm. So what we got to do now is we got to park this truck and trailer, and we got to head to the used tractor dealership or the used equipment dealership, and we got to wheel and deal on a planter. We got to figure out some sort of a planter, and we need to do something. We got to figure out what type of soil we're working with here, what kind of pH levels that we might need to alter, and we got to kind of get prepped because I would like to plant oats here in the springtime. I know that we can plant oats in April. We can actually plant oats right now as well. But so if we can go get kind of everything figured out with our soil, get a planter figured out for us, we'll be able to get some oats in the ground hopefully soon. Like I said, we got 150 grand, 50 of which we got to pay back to mom and dad. We could potentially get another 100 from the bank if we need, but I really don't want to get into that just yet. I would really like to just, first I want to be able to hire workers if we need to help us out around here doing some field work. But more, I just don't want to be in debt with anything. But if we have to, we will. The next thing that we want to do, I want to get a planter. Then I want to go to the animal dealership, and we got to try and see what they have for mares there. See if we can get some a mare in this pen, so that Salt and Pepper could potentially start reproducing with her, and if possible, we got to start getting some goats. So that's going to be the plan right now. I'm going to head up to the used equipment dealership or the equipment dealer just in general, and let's go see what they got for a planter. Okay, I'm just pulling into Clever Motors here into the dealership. It's back in here. Let's go spend a bunch of money. We're gonna have to spend a bunch of money to get going, but that's okay. Let's hop out here. Let's go in. Maybe maybe if we spend enough money, they'll do something nice for us. So let's go right in and let's start at the top and let's see what the first thing I want to kind of figure out is a seeder or a planter for us. So we have a trailer sitting there, so that's good to go. Eventually, I would like to get some sort of a little utility trailer to help us out around the farm, and so we can go back and forth from the store to pick up, if we might have to buy some horse food and stuff at some time. So potentially a utility trailer, which I would come down and I would kind of want to get something, not animal transport, maybe something like this, something simpler, kind of like that. And but that's just right now. I would also like to, if we can afford it, I would like to get something for taking samples of our field. We can get someone to come out and do it for us. I kind of wanted to get this for ourselves so that we can have it and we can just always be ready to test our fields. But I'm just going to wait and see. It might be cheaper just to get someone to come do it in the beginning. But eventually I would like to get that, and obviously this for the nitrogen on the fertilizer rates. Down the road we'll have to get something like this, but just for right now we might have to get by without it and just deal with some lower yield percentages until we make sure we're good with money. I just want to be super careful with our money right now. So we're probably gonna have to buy some older equipment, stuff that's not brand new and fancy, but that is okay. So let's first look at seeders. Now all of these are pretty good, but these, like if you look, like this is a 2021, 2018. What year is this one? Does it say? This is a 2019 to 2023, like 312 grand. We just do not got that kind of cheddar. So really, I think our best bet is to get this old Massey Ferguson seeder. It's 95 horse required, which is perfect because our little 3650 can pull it if need be. It's a 1990. It does 4.5 meters wide. It'll seed and fertilize at the same time. Decent. It's got a decent tank size. Nothing insane, but we don't have a bunch of insane fields. So I think this is what we're going to have to get here. Like I said, it's a 1990, a little bit older, but I think that's just what we're going to have to go with. Transport wheels. I don't know if those would be beneficial because sometimes this thing is a bit difficult to get around with. I'm going to leave them off for now. Well, we can get different brands here. Compactor wheels. That'll probably be nice to help us out. Maybe I will get the transport wheels on there just to help move this thing around a little bit. Actually, no. We're going to save as much money as we can. Let's just keep it standard for right now. But I'll keep the compactor wheels on there. And the rims, we'll leave that color. That's fine. So let's get that. That's 12 grand right there. Now, another thing that we're going to need that we got to plan for in the future is like Uncle had his fertilizer spreader in there. We may need to get a sprayer at some point, but these are super expensive. But we will have to deal with weeds. Weeds is going to be something that we have to deal with constantly. It just is what it is. Now, I would really like to get this set here because this is a hoeing unit and it'll deal with small and medium-sized weeds. In case you didn't know, most of these other ones will only deal with small weeds, even these bigger ones. But this is quite expensive for this hoeing unit, and it's a 12-meter wide one. It's a really good unit, relatively low horsepower to use it, 160. But there is one down here I can get for 12 grand, and it's 6 meters wide, 85 horse. Again, our little 3650 can pull it. I think this is going to be the option. You know, we paid 12 grand for this. We could pay 6 for this and just deal with the weeds when they're small. But this hoeing unit is super beneficial because you can deal with your weeds before they even pop out of the ground. And I'll show you that as we go. So I think we go with this one. We just keep it. We don't got to do anything. I don't know if, yeah, it's not worth trying to paint it or anything like that. So let's just get those right there. Okay, so we've got weeds dealt with. I would like to get a set of rollers, but if usually rolling is only a 2.5% yield bonus, so I just want to go spend some money on some other stuff just before we get rollers. And one thing that we're going to have to get is a baler. Now, we kind of got two options. We can go with small square bales. We cannot afford to do large square bales. We could do some kind of bigger square bales with these older John Deere balers. But I don't know. I think what's going to be best, like these are 115, 116 horse. We could get one of these. Or we can get a round baler for 12 grand as well. I don't think it. This is a 1995. These will do 125 centimeter round bales, which isn't super big, but we don't really need anything that's super big because we just got a couple small. Yeah, I could get these John Deere ones as well. 115 horse. I like the other one better because, but we do have that bigger tractor. Let's look at these. Okay, we would have to pay a little bit to get the twine in there, but that's not too bad. Okay, yeah, let's get these. I guess it's one way or the other. Let's try this out. Worst case, we can sell this off and we could go get something different. But for right now, let's just get this guy. We'll just have to use the bigger tractor to pull this. Okay, not too bad. Those will do 180 centimeter bales, so that'll be good for us. That'll be fine. Now we've got 112,000. What I think we need to do now is just go back to the farm, grab a tractor, and we're gonna have to kind of head back and forth a little bit, getting this stuff pulled to the farm. I'm gonna think about rollers a little bit more. I know I can get rollers for about 12 grand, and that would leave us with about 100 grand. But I first want to phone the animal dealership and just kind of start talking about a potential mare to get in for that horse barn. The thing is we might have to pay good money for a decent mare. She could be 5 or 6 grand, which that'll end up paying for itself in the long run if we can get some good colts out of her. But we can always get rollers at a different time. Like I said, even if we got to skip through a season without them, I want to make some phone calls as well about getting soil samples done. We can buy that one unit for 17 grand, but if I can get someone to come out and test these soils a little bit cheaper, I will. So we just got to make some phone calls, new to the area, kind of don't know anyone. I might stop in and talk to the neighbors and just see what they think about that. Actually, you know what? I am going to pull in and just go introduce myself and talk to the neighbors and see if they got any tips and tricks and stuff like that. So I'm going to go in and talk to these guys. Like I said, just say hello and then I'll also run down and get all that equipment and bring it back up to the farm, and then we can kind of start planning out, and we'll probably test that planter out. Okay, I just got the planter here kind of parked just off to the side, and I talked to the neighbors, and they said yes, it's way cheaper. They said there's a company around here that'll come out and test the soil for you. They said you just give them a call and they will do it. And so I'm not going to worry about buying that unit. I'm just going to go in and do it this way. We'll give these guys some information and we can purchase this soil information. It's pretty cheap. It's 262 bucks. So yeah, that's way cheaper. Let's do that. Looks like we're dealing with a bunch of silty clay. Not ideal. What about up here? Let's purchase this soil information. Another 500 bucks. Okay. Again, another whole field of silty clay, which isn't great. And this looks like we're going to get some loamy sand, another 525 bucks. So, okay. A little bit better loamy sand. Okay. Not the best, not the worst, but it's something to start with, and we can definitely go from there. So now what we need to do is I kind of want to go through and I want to take a look at some of these fields. There was a field that we needed to get some lime spread on, which is this one right here. Now, part of me just kind of wants to plow this field and just kind of start from scratch, sort of on all of these. However, I don't want to bring up a bunch of field stones. To be honest, I'm toying going back and forth if I worry about the field stones just right now, or maybe I just kind of let these ones be on this harvest until we for sure get a little bit of extra cash, you know, in the bank. Is kind of what I'm thinking. But so I want to get some lime spread on this field, and you know, the neighbors have some workers that help them out, and apparently I didn't know this, but the neighbor that lives over in the trailers over here with this silo is actually pretty good with horses, knows quite a bit about horse farming, and they said in the future definitely talk to him and his wife, and they can help out with a whole bunch of things with horses. They're very experienced in it apparently, which is great. These neighbors are super nice as well. And but yeah, I want to get going. I want to do some lime on this field and get some lime spread on it. So let's hook up this lime spreader onto the 3650 here. And I'm going to go over to my uncle's silos because I know there was a bunch of lime and kind of supplies and stuff like that left in these. He doesn't have one of these set up for seeds, so that's, you know, hopefully something we can do in the future. I don't know how heavy this is going to be. We may need to put a front weight on this tractor. Yeah, it's kind of heavy for it. I think maybe we'll just grab a weight, just because why not? They're sitting right here, and it'll just kind of help balance this 3650 out a little bit. But we got to get a bunch of lime set on this field and see if we can balance out some of the pH levels. So let's go on here. The map is going to zoom in for us. I think it should. Yep. And let's get a worker going. Let's get a worker going, setting on this. Increasing the pH to an optimal value for silty clay is 7. Okay, and yeah. What are we sitting at right now? Let's go over to our pH levels. Yeah, we're at about a 6.25. Looks like we got a 6.5 there, but they said they want us around a 7. We're looking to be around a 7. On this field, which would be ideal. So I'm just going to turn all that off right now, and let's get a worker going to get some lime spread on this, and let's just kind of keep track and see how it looks with the first application that we put on. There's going to be some stuff that we have to do potentially, as well as getting the we might have to plant some cover crops and stuff in between seasons through the winter, which I probably will do this very first winter, just to, I mean, we get subsidies from it, which isn't really going to be the main goal, but to really get some nitrogen put into the soil through the winter, I think is going to be a good plan for this year. So after we do oats and we harvest them in the fall, we'll most likely plant some oilseed radish through the winter, get it all pulled off in February, and that should put some good nitrogen into these fields. Off the top of my head, what I'm thinking of doing is, we'll do this small field in oats, one of these fields in oats, and I'm thinking this back field we'll do in grass so that we can cut and bale some hay for those horses and for the goats that we don't have yet. Now, speaking of all that, I talked to the animal dealer, and they said kind of the best way to do, we can, you know, I'm just going to wait here. We're going to go fill this, we're going to go fill this lime spreader up. But one of the best ways to look at the animals that they have is right from the direct trigger from the barn that we have there. Now, there's a transportation fee and all that stuff. Sometimes it's worth it depending on the animal, but we just can talk to them, kind of get what we want ordered there, and then go pick it up. So I'll probably do that a little bit, maybe once we get some of this field work done. So let's just go check our nitrogen levels. Okay, we've got way higher way higher pH right now. We're getting a lot in the green, and maybe we got a little bit too much on there. Okay, our tank is empty. We gotta go fill this tank. Gotta go fill the tank. Lime is definitely, lime is, you go through lime like crazy, but it's not super expensive. I mean, not that we have a ton of cash right now, but this thing holds 60,000 liters, and I think it's about 15 grand to fill that tank right from empty, I think, is what my aunt said, but I can't remember exactly. What we might have to do here, just to make things a little bit easier, let's just get our GPS going, and we'll finish this off ourselves. Let's get set on this path, and then we'll get this line put down on this field. Not too bad. We might have to catch a little spot there, but that's not the end of the world. Okay, let's back up. We'll hit this little spot on the corner and catch this little spot. I'll set the GPS, why not? Okay. Okay, so we got some lime down on this field. Let's go take a look. Let's look at our economic analysis. Yeah, we're down money. Of course, we haven't harvested anything yet there. I'm just going to turn all this stuff back on and just see what we're kind of working with. So we got kind of a broad range here. Some spots looks like we got about 7.5, maybe 8 in this corner. A lot at 7, and some at 6 and 7.5. So we're in a good range. We're in a pretty good range there for that field. That's for sure. Let's spin around here. I think we should go through and just take a look and see. Well, let's fill this tank, and we'll set another worker to kind of go on that field as well, and just. Well, I want to get lime down on everything, and at least get the pH levels balanced out to make sure that we're good to go, and then we'll start seeding. So I think I'm going to keep doing this here. I'm just going to go through and get these fields limed out, good to go, and then we'll kind of look at seeding once we're done that. All right, I got all of our fields. Limed. We got the lime levels balanced out there. The nitrogen, sorry, not the nitrogen. The pH levels are balanced out, kind of the best we can for right now. I can kind of come in here. Let's just go to the pH levels. The loamy sand is like, it's all right. We're still a little bit low. We're in that 6 zone. This is probably our best field. It's most consistent around that 7 marker. A little bit high on this one, 7.5 in some spots to 7.25. We've got some darker spots here, but it'll all slowly start to balance out as we we practice good like tillage practices, and if we're consistent with like trying to even out these pH levels over the next few years. Now our nitrogen's extremely low, very low, which is definitely understandable because we don't have any fertilizer on here. Now when we plant, we will put a spread of fertilizer down. So but even as I come across this field, the pH level, it's okay there. It's good. In some spots, it's perfect. If we come to this field, it's probably just like okay. Oh, right here it says it's good. Perfect. Bad. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll balance it all out. It's gonna be a work in progress. But let's hop back in the tractor right now, and let's get some grass and oats planted. I'm gonna do kind of a couple things here. I'm going to get a worker planting. I've got some fertilizer put in. I hit some of the bags and stuff that we had kicking around there. But I think I'm going to do what we said, is I'm going to plant this field down here in grass, and then I'm going to do these other 2 in oats. And we'll just run that for right now, and we'll just see how it goes. We don't really have anything to go with other than that. So let's hop in there, and then let's go take a look at some of the potential horses that we could possibly get. Let's go in here and take a look. So obviously this is our barn. There are no animals to move yet. Okay. Um, why? Oh, maybe because this trailer's parked there? That could be what's doing it. It could be kind of messing with the trigger. Yeah, okay. I might have to move that trailer out of the way. That could be messing with it. Stand by. I'll get that moved and then we'll go do some looking. Okay, I'm not too sure why, but I think the trigger of that barn is just kind of a little bit jammed out. I probably got to get into the next month, to be honest, just to kind of unjam it. So what I'm going to do here, what I figure is we'll just kind of do some of this planting. I've got both those fields done. So if I come into here, we've got grass going on this one, and I got the oats planted on this one so far. And I'm just going to finish and do another round of oats. Actually, before I do it, I probably should spin over and get a little bit more fertilizer in this unit. And we can spin right on over to... Well, there should be some in the barn here that I'll be able to fill probably just like that. It'll fill it up. It'll activate those bags in there, and we can get some seed out of that. Or some fertilizer, rather. Okay, let's spin around. Try not to run into a tree. And let's go get this other field planted with oats. I don't know if we're going to change this in the future. We might do different stuff on different fields. But for right now, I think we'll just go with this. This little Massey Ferguson planter seeder works all right. It goes at a pretty decent speed. It's kind of different than the other ones though. Like you don't turn it on or off, you just drop it down and that kind of activates it. So it's a little bit weird to get used to be honest. But I mean, it's not that big a deal. It works pretty good. But I think we had a pretty good, starting episode to Oats and Goats here. I can't wait for us to kind of get some goats, which is obviously going to be kind of next on our priority list. Once I wanted to get these fields kind of figured out and set and get the equipment and stuff that we were going to need, and then that way we can feed our animals. And now I know we could definitely feed them by going to buying stuff, buying the feed, but we don't have a ton of cash to spend. Like we have 110 grand, but that can go away like, relatively quickly if we're careless with it and just off buying bags of food and stuff. And next thing you know, we'll get into a situation where we really need something and we don't got the cash for it. And I don't really want to take a loan from the bank. I definitely don't want to take a loan from the bank. We already got to pay back mom and dad as it is, so I think it'll be best just to hold on to some cash for at least a couple episodes here, at least till we get a few things set with goats. Goats aren't going to be super expensive, I don't think, but also getting some good healthy ones with good metabolism and good genetics is going to be important. So we might have to spend a little bit extra, and I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost for a good mare horse. Again, that could be around the $5,000-$6,000 mark, which is a lot to spend right now because we don't really got the cash, but in the long run to have those good genetics it'll be worth it. So that's kind of my plan for everything. And I think what I'm going to probably do, as we're just kind of getting this field completed here, I think we'll probably just end our first episode here. This would be kind of a good spot to end it off. And I'm just going to go through and kind of keep getting these fields planted, or getting this field finished. And, next episode, we'll deal with getting a mare. We'll start looking at getting some goats. We'll take the trailer down to the animal dealer, or somehow or some way we'll get that barn filled with at least a couple goats. And as the summer progresses, hopefully in the next episode we can get into harvesting some of these fields, testing out that new baler, getting some food into these barns and stocked away for the animals. And, just kind of going through, making sure all the equipment works good and we're not missing anything. If we do run into any issues, we can always kind of go do some contracts with the equipment that we have. I'll be watching for that in the fall. And we'll also be looking to kind of plan to plant some cover crops on these fields to hopefully help with the nitrogen levels and, keep balancing the pH on these fields. So Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you stick with me on this series. I hope you're with me on it. I usually like to do about 30 episode series, so that's kind of what you can roughly expect in this series. I'll do a supercut every 10 episodes. So if you get behind or something, just know that I'll be doing those 10 episode compilations as soon as the 10th and 20th and 30th episodes are done. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a good afternoon, morning, evening, whenever it is you're watching this. I am the Ultra Farmer. If you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that sub, hit that like button for me, turn on that notification bell so you can be notified when these episodes come out. Thank you guys again so much. I appreciate it like you wouldn't believe. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Oats and Goats.